66 million years ago, when powerful dinosaurs ruled the land and gargantuan marine reptiles stalked the seas, a silent menace soared above them all. This creature was so large, some argue it could outmatch any other flying animal in history. It arose in one of Earth's most surprising places, an isolated island in prehistoric Europe, where evolution took an unexpected turn. But how did such a tremendous flyer come to dominate the skies? And why do so many controversies swirl around its name? Prepare to discover the unsettling tale of Hatzegopteryx, the pterosaur that might just rewrite everything we thought we knew about giants of the ancient world. Picture the late Cretaceous period in what we now call Europe. Instead of the familiar continent spanning from Portugal to the Ural Mountains, it was a scattered collection of islands floating in a shallow tropical sea. Each island was its own ecosystem, hosting unique combinations of species locked away by salty barriers. Some dinosaurs here shrank over countless generations, becoming what scientists call dwarf dinosaurs. Elsewhere, certain animals ballooned into unexpected giants that had no need to fear carnivores capable of challenging them. On one of these lush islands, largely covered with lowland forests, freshwater streams, and dense undergrowth, the ecosystem looked drastically different from North American or Asian habitats. With massive predatory theropods nowhere in sight, there was little competition for top dog status. And in this remote environment, something took the role of a land-stalking apex predator. Yet it was no ferocious Tyrannosaurus or monstrous Allosaurus. Instead, it was a colossal pterosaur, a winged nightmare that dominated the island's skies and land alike. For a long time, no one even realized such a giant had once prowled Europe's Cretaceous skies. The first hints surfaced in the 1970s, when paleontologists on a student-led dig in Romania uncovered fragments of extraordinarily large fossils. At first glance, the bones were so massive that experts assumed they came from a big theropod dinosaur, maybe some distant cousin of the vicious abelisaurs or even the more familiar tyrannosaurids. Yet these strange remnants refused to match any known theropod forms. Something about the shape and texture was off. After closer study, scientists had a startling revelation. This was no land-bound carnivore. These belonged to a pterosaur, but not just any pterosaur. It was one that could tower over a person even when standing on all fours. And that was only the start of what made it so formidable. But the debates were just beginning. It took decades for this mysterious giant to even get a proper name. Finally, in 2002, paleontologists dubbed it Hatzegopteryx, literally referencing the Hatzeg Basin where it was found, and a nod to its monstrous dimensions. At a glance, many people assumed it was some distant cousin of the better-known quetzalcoatlus from North America. And indeed, both of these creatures belong to the same intimidating group of pterosaurs known as the Azhdarchids, famed for their long limbs and outsized wingspans. Yet hints suggested that Hatzegopteryx might not just be a quetzalcoatlus clone. Some experts believe it was even larger, sporting a wingspan that could stretch beyond 11 meters, 36 feet, potentially reaching up to 12 meters, nearly 39 feet. The exact figures remain fiercely debated, thanks to limited fossil remains and the pterosaur family's extraordinary variation. Nevertheless, everyone agrees it was a jaw-dropping example of flight-made flesh. Amid these size debates, a bigger question emerged. How could a pterosaur of such magnitude feed and defend itself when living on a mid-sized island? The secret to that may lie in the puzzlingly enormous skull fragments that paleontologists excavated next. Unlike the typical image of pterosaurs swooping down to snatch fish from ancient coastlines, Hatzegopteryx seems to have spent a surprising amount of time stalking on land. Researchers point out that during the late Cretaceous, the island realm of Hatzeg was devoid of the towering theropod kings that roamed other continents. Without formidable predators like Tyrannosaurus or Giganotosaurus, Hatzegopteryx had free rein to snatch up any prey that wandered within range of its knife-like beak. A series of dwarf dinosaurs, including smaller hadrosaurs and miniaturized titanosaurs, would have made perfect targets. These unusual herbivores had adapted to island life by scaling down to conserve resources. Unfortunately for them, Hatzegopteryx's robust bones suggest it wasn't just big. It was built to dominate. Quite possibly, it could stride across open clearings with a giraffe-like posture, scanning the horizon for any unsuspecting prey. Once it locked onto a target, its fearsome skull likely made short work of the unfortunate victim, whether by stabbing, pecking, or bludgeoning. Part of what sets Hatzegopteryx apart is the staggering size and construction of its head and neck. Where many Hatzegopteryx pterosaurs had slender beaks and elegantly elongated necks, Hatzegopteryx possessed a surprisingly robust skull. Some estimate around 2.5 meters, over 8 feet long. That's almost incomprehensible for a flying creature. This skull wasn't just large, it had thick ridges and bony struts that anchored bulky jaw muscles, indicating a capacity for formidable biting and striking force. Even the neck vertebrae were short and broad, packed with strong muscle attachment sites. Some researchers argue that the entire design hints at a predator comfortable wrestling down moderately sized dinosaurs on land. The neck could handle significant stress without snapping, a feature crucial for subduing prey. Its powerful build may have allowed it to pivot in quick, brutal movements, enabling it to land lethal blows against anything that dared cross its path. For years, conventional wisdom suggested giant Hatzegopteryx were master gliders, soaring across continents on thermals while barely flapping. The logic went like this: with wingspans over 10 meters, they'd catch every updraft, crossing prehistoric oceans with minimal effort. Early studies painted a picture of marathon flights, reminiscent of modern-day albatrosses. Yet recent research has stirred fresh speculation. Some paleontologists argue that Hatzegopteryx, in particular, might have been too heavy for sustained flight over huge distances. The robust structure that made it such a terror on land could have limited how far it could travel in the air. Possibly, it specialized in short bursts of flight, launching itself with powerful limbs and gliding over the forests and valleys of its island domain. Hollow bones filled with an almost styrofoam-like structure likely helped, keeping weight manageable. But even with these evolutionary advantages, there's a growing sense that Hatzegopteryx's wings were not designed for non-stop transoceanic voyages. Instead, flight might have functioned more as a strategic edge, perfect for hopping around the island quickly or ambushing prey from above. Yet the biggest question remains: how did it become such a giant in the first place? Hatzegopteryx shared its environment with creatures that evolved in bizarre ways due to island dwarfism, the tendency for animals to shrink over generations when confined to smaller landmasses. While a typical titanosaur might grow massive on a large continent, its Hatzeg cousin had to live on limited resources. Over time, these herbivores ended up smaller than their mainland relatives, perhaps only a fraction of the size you'd expect from their lineage. They weren't alone. From duck-billed dinosaurs to nimble ornithopods, many species in the region carried the hallmark of island living: downsized bodies and specialized diets. For a pterosaur that dwarfed a modern giraffe in height, these scaled-down herbivores became easy pickings. It's even possible that Hatzegopteryx occasionally scavenged carrion or took advantage of younger dinosaurs unaware of the predator looming overhead. This dynamic shaped an entire web of life that was unlike anything on other continents. Hatzegopteryx's dominance, combined with an absence of competing large carnivores, meant it ruled from shoreline to canopy. If you lived in that environment, there was almost no escape from its shadow. For all its power and unmatched supremacy, Hatzegopteryx could not outfly global catastrophe. Around 66 million years ago, a massive asteroid struck near the Yucatan Peninsula on the opposite side of the planet. That impact unleashed a chain reaction of firestorms, climate shifts, and ecological collapse that spelled doom for non-avian dinosaurs and most large pterosaurs alike. Even towering giants like Hatzegopteryx could not endure the prolonged darkness and collapsing food chains. In what might have felt like the blink of an eye, the island that had nurtured this colossus became a graveyard for countless species. As food sources vanished and environments deteriorated, Hatzegopteryx and its kind faced the end. In time, the geological record erased nearly every trace of them. Only a few rare fossils, scattered beneath Romanian soil, now bear silent witness to the days when a colossal winged predator reigned supreme. Today, fragments of Hatzegopteryx's bones provoke heated debates among paleontologists. Some insist it was the largest flying animal ever, overshadowing quetzalcoatlus. Others caution against drawing conclusions from limited fossils. With each new study, we learn a little more about how this pterosaur evolved to become the unstoppable apex predator of its island realm. It's also a reminder that Earth has housed countless bizarre creatures throughout its deep history. Much remains hidden in the rocks, waiting to be revealed by dedicated researchers. As we continue unearthing new finds and re-examining old discoveries, the tale of Hatzegopteryx might shift once again. One day, scientists may uncover fresh bones that confirm just how enormous it truly was, or perhaps even reveal an entirely different species that rivaled it in size. For now, Hatzegopteryx stands as a haunting emblem of prehistoric Europe's isolated islands, where nature broke all the rules and created a flying beast unlike any we've seen before. Next time you think about the mightiest flying creatures of the ancient world, remember this Romanian titan. Its story is still unfolding, and the full truth remains just beyond our grasp, buried in ancient rock and cloaked by millions of years of mystery.